this project, I started with a 25 by 15 inch picture frame that I had picked up at a garage sale. I removed the backing, I removed the glass, then I flipped it over and I painted it red. After that had dried, I sealed it with Dixie Belle Clear Coat Sealer, satin. And then after that dried, I took Elmer's, this is on the back of the frame, I took Elmer's glue and put it around the perimeter of the back of the frame where the glass would sit. Then I replaced the glass and then I put Elmer's glue around the perimeter one more time. This serves two purposes. It helps to hold the glass in place and it helps to prevent any resin leaks. It needs to dry overnight and sometimes up to 24 hours depending on how much glue you use. After that was dry, I cleaned it up and took painter's tape and put it around the perimeter of the back of the frame. It just as an extra precaution against resin leaks. Then I downloaded a picture of Grinch off the internet. He was actually a digital download that I purchased on Etsy. And I actually had to remove some of the tape around the corner there because I wanted to put him all the way up to the edge. And I'm just using him as a template for my glass. And after I positioned him, I did tape him down on the back. On Etsy, I also purchased digital downloads of these signs that they had, printed them out. Actually, I printed them out real small on cardstock paper, and I cut out another piece of cardstock paper to put under it just to make it a little bit stronger. And I glued them together, but I did not wait for it to dry before I started putting the UV resin on. So a lot of the white paper underneath did peel up. So I think it's a good idea to let it probably dry overnight. Actual printouts did dry overnight because I was afraid the ink would run with the UV resin. Next, using UV resin, I covered the top of each of them one at a time. Smoothed it out, pushed it all the way to the edges, and then put the UV light on them. Did try to work slow, doing one at a time and putting it under the light for 90 seconds. Now, I don't think any of the ink smeared at all with this UV resin, but you dry it so fast. So I wanted to cover it with the UV resin instead of the regular resin because the regular resin takes a long time to dry and I was afraid that the ink would then run. So the other thing that happened with them, besides I told you that some of the paper pulled off of the back of some of them kind of curled up a tiny bit and I had to kind of bend them back into place. And so this is what I decided to do, was put a piece of tape down and set it on the painter's tape to hold it flat. And that worked a little bit better that way. After those were done, then I started on Mr. Grinch. So I took clear Elmer's glue and traced the clear Elmer's glue around the perimeter of the entire figure. And then I took a 2mm black rhinestone chain and followed along the glue lines. I'm just going to fast forward through this. I go all the way from his feet all the way to the top of his hat, outlining with the black 2mm rhinestone chains. I did get these off of Etsy. Everything I do use in this video I will link under the description. Next, I use these iridescent rhinestones that I had actually picked up on TEMU, and they are so pretty, and I had tested them by putting resin over the top to make sure that they were still sparkly and iridescent, because some of the rhinestones that you buy, once you put resin over them, they lose their sparkly qualities or their iridescent qualities. These do not. So I just went ahead and filled in all the areas that white would be. And of course you don't need to use or have to use that. What you could do is use the crushed Ashland decorative filler, some kind of crushed reflective glass that isn't colored would also look pretty in those areas. I just thought I wanted to try this. I thought it looked real pretty. I am putting clear Elmer's glue down before I put the red glass down, only because I plan on moving this around a lot, and I just and I'm going to be putting some of the Christmas tree glass on top of the red glass or part of the Grinch, and I just don't want it to move all over the place. This way it's anchored down. Next, I got out my red glass. This is actually red glass from Michaels. It's the Ashland Decorative Filler Crushed Glass. This glass I did not color. It came red, and I believe I got it last year around Christmas. So if you're wanting some red glass, keep your eyes open. I'm not sure if it's there yet or not, but it always comes out around the holidays. And you'll see I removed the paper on the back of his body because sometimes it's difficult to see whether you're getting good coverage of the glass, so it's best to remove the backing if you can. And I left the face on there just so that I would have an outline for the eyes. Next, I printed out Merry Grinchmas on my Cricut machine. I love this Cricut machine, but just because I have a Cricut, and if you don't have one, this still can be stenciled on. You can actually use one of your word processing programs on your computer, like Microsoft Word, print out the words in the font you want and the size you want, and put it behind the glass, and then trace on the front with the black oil-based markers. And it works perfectly fine. That's how I used to do it. So anyway, so next I have to fill in, I want to make the Grinch's eyes and let those dry before I put any green glass in anywhere else. And you can see for the eyebrows I have the black 2mm rhinestone chain, but I feel like for the outline of the bottom of the eyes, that rhinestone chain is too thick. So I have this black wire that I had used. I'm trying to think what I used it for. I had to use it in another video. Anyway, I picked up this black wire off of Amazon, and I just cut it to fit for underneath the eyes, and I think that'll work perfect. So I cut them, put them in place, and just drizzled Elmer's glue over it so that it would stick, and then let this dry. That Elmer's glue dries perfectly clear. You will not see it, even if it was to go outside of the outlines, but of course glass is going to be on top of it, so you really won't know the difference. And here I am trying to make a little circle for his nose out of the wire also. So after that has dried, then I come back with a mixture of a little bit of yellow and white paint and just dab it in that area. And the dried Elmer's glue should create a barrier so that it doesn't drip out of there. And then of course I have to let that dry. Next, I take some Krylon spray paint, what I call Grinch Green, and I sprayed the Ashland Decorative Filler Crushed Glass. And I gave it a couple of coats. And then here you can see it in the left bottom corner, Grinch Green. And I start filling in all the green areas. So next I start creating the Christmas tree. And the Christmas tree, the glass I use for the Christmas tree is actually gold reflective 1/4 inch fiberglass off of Amazon. And I used the Krylon Summer Green translucent spray paint to paint it. And of course this took several coats because the Krylon is not concentrated at all, whereas the TAMIYA is very concentrated, but the problem with the TAMIYA is their green is more of a blue green, so I really wanted it to be like a Christmas tree green. And I think this glass is so pretty because it has the gold reflective side to it also. So I put it in the shape that I wanted, and then I had picked these little fake light bulbs up from Christmas Lights Up. I don't know, probably from Hobby Lobby. You know, they have a bunch of stuff up there that you can decorate mini trees with, and this is supposed to be decorations for mini trees. So I just cut them to the length that I wanted them and set them on the tree like they would look on your tree at home. And I just think they're so cute. Next, I had picked up these beads off of Amazon, and they're Grinch. They have them advertised as Grinch beads, I guess. And they're just, a couple of them have the Grinch's face on it, and just different colors. I just thought they were real pretty. And then, of course, I took my little signs, Mount Crumpet, Whoville, Grinch's Leer, and Jubilation, and put those 4 signs. I only ended up using 4 of them. And then next, for the very bottom of it, for the bottom I used, this is fire glass that I had picked up on Amazon that I had painted. I don't know if any of you have seen my other videos where I have painted this with the iridescent Michaels Artist Loft Iridescent Medium. And that's what I'm putting at the bottom. And then for the tree trunk, I'm using 3 pieces. It's actually like a stretch bracelet. There's like 20 of these in a row that wrap around your wrist. I had picked it up at a garage sale, took it apart, and I've used many pieces of them for tree trunks. And that's what I'm using for this. And then I just fill in the rest of the bottom with the white covered glass. And this is how I made the glass. It is Celestial Fire Glass, Artist Loft Iridescent Medium, mixed together in a bowl and spread out on non-stick paper as far apart as you can get it. Let it dry overnight. Then it was time for the resin. The resin I'm using for this project is Nic Pro Epoxy Resin. It's a 1-to-1 ratio resin that you mix in a cup slowly for 4 minutes. And I have used this on several other projects and it really works well. Molds and on glass. I have not tried it on canvas, and I believe the instructions for on canvas are to paint a coat on it first. So I'm thinking you're better off just using it for molds and for glass on glass work. And this resin really has very few bubbles. So next I start drizzling the resin over all the glass first. That's what I usually do. Make sure all of that is covered. And then I take the resin and I start putting it around the edges and up into the corners. And I use my spoon to kind of push it around. And I know they say resin is self-leveling, but if you don't push it up into all the areas, you could have some missing. And I always get down eye level with it to look at it real close to make sure all the areas are covered. I usually turn my project several times to get closer and look at everything. And I actually end up putting this on the floor to set because my tables are not level. I need to get some kind of something to set it on that you can level. I know they have boards or something. And then I take this tube confetti that I got up at the Dollar Tree, and I apologize because I'm kind of out of frame here, but and I start sprinkling it down at the bottom, gold tube confetti, and it really looks pretty. They usually have it up at the Dollar Tree. Every time I go up there, they have the gold tube confetti. And I put a little bit more resin over that to make sure it sticks. And then I use my kitchen torch to get rid of all the bubbles. And sometimes the bubbles will kind of congregate around the edges, and you kind of have to go up and around with a toothpick. And I always come back, after I'm done, I always come back about every 15 minutes for about 3 or 4 times just to hit it again with the kitchen torch, because sometimes some of the bubbles have come to the top and the torch will get rid of them. And I also look for sediment. I get down eye level with it, use a toothpick to pull out. My worst enemy at my house is cat hairs. I do not let the cats in these rooms here, but I probably get cat hair on me and it falls into the project, so I'm constantly picking away with a toothpick, making sure there's nothing in there. And then this needs to sit overnight on a flat level surface, and it's in your best interest to cover it with a dust cover. Resin needs to cure at temperatures between 72 and 82 degrees Fahrenheit. You read the directions for the resin that you are using because all resins are different. Hey everyone, my Grinch Christmas tree is done. I think he turned out really cute. I think I may have put the letters on a little crooked, but That's the way it is. So I don't know how well you can see it. I'm just going to put this paper behind me. You probably see it a little better. But so if I had to do it again, I think I probably would leave the letters off and make the tree grander. And originally that's all it was supposed to be, was a tree. And then one of the ladies on the Facebook page posted Mr. Grinch, and I thought he was so cute I decided to add him to it. So so anyway, when I did Grinch, here, let me put this up here. I did the white, the areas that are supposed to be white around him with these iridescent beads that I had picked up on TEMU. And I was saying you could use this Ashland decorative filler instead, which would look really pretty. And that usually comes in a jar like this, and sometimes like this, depending on what color you're getting. This is actually a little bit more silver than the typical one. But, and then down at the very bottom where I have the iridescent colored glass, I also put that gold tube confetti. Can you see it? I think that looks so pretty. And this you get up at the dollar store. They have this up there all year round. And they have it in a bunch of different colors, so I'm kind of wondering what else we could do with maybe the reds and the greens. But you know, there's the white that I've used in different projects in the past, and also silver. So I think this is really cool. They usually have that out all the time up at the Dollar Tree. So I'm trying to think what else I can tell you about it. So yeah, if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. That really helps the channel. If you enjoy the channel, go ahead and subscribe and you'll be notified when future videos come out. We have the Facebook channel going, Facebook page, whatever it is. And it's a great place to ask questions. Everybody is posting all their cool artwork, gives you ideas. And the other thing is, it's not even Halloween yet. And here I'm making this Christmas tree, and I don't know where in the series of my Christmas videos this is gonna come out. This is actually my first one, but it may not come out to the third one because I'm gonna be making some other Christmas trees. So, but everybody on the Facebook page is posting all these Christmas trees, and a lot of people do, you know, the craft fairs and sell their artwork. So they're making the stuff now so that they have them when they go. And I guess there's a bunch coming up. So anyway, that's what inspired me to make a Christmas one before Halloween. So, now I forget where I was and so anyway, I hope you guys all have a great day. Thanks for watching.